Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side. Doug Billings here with you. Thanks for watching as I come to you from smack dab in the middle of the fruited plain, as I always do, 4 o'clock Central Time. We are going to talk about Greenland today. Going to talk about Greenland and why it makes sense. It's happening, not being reported widely in the mainstream media. Doesn't surprise you, of course. But Greenland is poised to become a territory of the United States. They just had some elections over there. Their center-right party won, and conversations with President Trump and our government are continuing. I wouldn't be surprised if this happens sooner rather than later, folks. All of that and much more. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? The Right Side with Doug Billings is now upon you.
Hey, everybody. My name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to do a big shout-out for my great friend and one of the best in the business, Mr. Doug Billings. Right Side with Doug Billings, Right Side with Doug Billings. Doug is the future of the airwaves when it comes to independent broadcasters and podcasters. He is the new Rush Limbaugh. He's exactly what America needs right now, looking for honesty, looking for wisdom, looking for truth, looking for patriotism. Listen to Doug Billings at Right Side with Doug Billings. God bless you and God bless America, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are winning. We're winning, winning, winning. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Are you ready?
We are not liberal snowflakes who melt away in the face of tragedy, adversity, and challenge. We are a covenant nation under God, and His divine providence is not dead and it's not gone. It is living within each and every one of you. And you will bring it to life in such a way that the world has never seen before. We never back down. We never give up. We march forward.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Greenland. So I'm already starting to get chat messages and texts and so forth, and I love seeing all of you over there. It's happening, and it's going to happen, I think, sooner rather than later, this whole Greenland thing. And why not? It makes sense. It makes sense on multiple levels, and we're going to talk our way through most of these here. It sounds something like, you pick up a geopolitical fiction magazine and you're reading this, and you're thinking to yourself, Billings, what in the hell are you talking about? What are you thinking? Greenland? Come on, man. United States acquires territories every once in a while in our history, and this is a strategic one in many ways. It makes sense. You're going to have another appreciation for this when we're finished with our conversation today, because there's a case to be made, and it's really stronger than most people think it is. And so grab your cup of coffee or grab your adult beverage, because we're going to dive in and we're going to listen and talk our way through what it would mean. And above all else, why? Why is President Trump so interested in Greenland? Some people think, oh, he's just joking. This is just typical Trump sense of humor. He's not joking, folks. This is beyond that. This is a serious geopolitical issue that's happening right before our very eyes. And there are more people who are in favor of it within Greenland and the United States than there are against it. So let me set the scene. Greenland, in case your educational systems in the United States failed you, is a large continent, mostly made of ice, right? Rock and frozen tundra. It's up in the northern Atlantic, and technically it's part of the Kingdom of Denmark. But it has a lot of its own autonomy, can make most of its own decisions and so forth. Denmark does not rule over Greenland with an iron fist. It's got a very small population, about 56,000 people. That wouldn't even halfway fill up Arrowhead Stadium for a Chiefs football game. So 56,000 people, and it's mostly ice, right? Like I said, like 80% of it is covered in an ice sheet. But don't let that fool you, because underneath that frozen wasteland is a gold mine. And maybe we should say an ice mine, but a lot of minerals, a lot of rare earth minerals there. And the United States has actually had its eye on Greenland for a long time. Back in 1946, believe it or not, President Truman offered Denmark $100 million for it. And then, of course, one of our favorite presidents, again, now currently floating the idea of acquiring Greenland for ourselves. But Well, here's why. In very serious terms, here's why. I'm going to list several points here. Point number one: why does it make sense for Greenland to become a territory of the United States? So the next time you're at your cocktail party and some liberal comes up and starts lambasting the idea of why Trump continually talks about Greenland and so forth, this is not. Trump is joking when he mentions Canada, okay, as becoming a state. That's a joke. He's only pushing the buttons of the prime minister and the the folks on the radical left in our country. He's only trolling them. With Greenland, it's a whole different animal, a whole different story. So the first point: strategic power in the Arctic. Okay, the big one: strategy. Greenland's location is unreal. It's perfect for us. It sits right at the crossroads of North America, Europe, and the Arctic. So perfectly positioned for a strategic location for a United States territory. If you've got a map of the world in your head, or if you've got one handy there in your home or your office, wherever you are, pull it up and look at it real quick. It's a giant stepping stone between Greenland is a giant stepping stone between the United States and some pretty key global players out there. And in a world where the Arctic is heating up, literally and figuratively, that matters now more than ever. The Arctic's ice is melting. There's no doubt about it. But this is a continual cycle. This is not human-made global warming I'm talking about. This is the Earth's cycle of warming and cooling, warming and cooling. It's been going on since the beginning of time. So don't think that I'm coming down in favor of the climate kooks, the climate change kooks. I'm not. In a world where the Arctic is heating up and becoming a figure of geopolitical focus, Greenland becomes very important to the United States. The ice is melting. Okay, that's a scientific fact because the Earth is going through its natural cycles. Okay, and as it does this, more shipping routes are now opened. You've got the Northwest Passage, exposing resources that everyone's starting to drool over. Every ruler of every country worth their salt is drooling over the oil, the gas, the rare earth minerals. It's a treasure chest up there in Greenland. And guess who's already circling the island? The usual suspects, Russia and China. Russia's got military bases popping up like Arctic pop-up shops. And China's investing billions of dollars in polar infrastructure up there, in the polar regions that surround and border up and buttress against Greenland. The United States can't sit back and just watch this all happen, folks. And so this is what's going on behind the scenes and why Trump is making a play for Greenland. Strategically, Greenland's already got a United States presence there, so that's to our advantage. No one else does. The Thule Air Base up there in the northwestern part of the island. It's a critical part of not only our military in general, but especially our missile defense system. It also has a lot of our Space Force and space monitoring systems up in that air base as well. So, but owning Greenland outright, how do we do that? How do we pull it off? That's the next level. It'll give us full control over a massive chunk of the Arctic and a permanent foothold to counter Russia's moves and to keep China from cozying up too close up there in the Arctic. Imagine the leverage that we could have. Naval bases, airfields, radar stations, all locked in under the stars and the stripes, the American flag planted right there, a United States territory, Greenland. It's not just about defense. It's about projecting power. It's about projecting America first. It's about where it's going to, it's all about, as we look into the future a little bit, it's all about projecting the next 50 years or so as we evolve into these new dynamics with other countries. It'll give us a foothold that no other country, Russia, China specifically is what I'm talking about, that they don't have and they can't get. So here's the kicker. Denmark's a NATO ally, but they're not exactly a military powerhouse, right? No one is afraid of Denmark, militarily speaking, but they're a member of NATO, which could play to our advantage. Greenland's defense relies heavily, as you might imagine, on the United States already. Making it a territory just formalizes that relationship and lets us double down without asking permission. That's point number one. The military and the strategic advantage of having Greenland as a territory. Point number two, the economic upside of all of this. Okay, so it's a strategic slam dunk. We all get that. But what about the money? I mean, we're not just going to pour cash into an ice cube for fun, right? Well, Greenland's got some serious economic potential, and the U.S. could cash in big time. First up, it's the resources. That ice sheet up there that I mentioned, underneath of it is stuff we want. Greenland's got rare earth minerals, those weird elements, like neodymium and dystropium, and that go into everything from smartphones to computer chips and to wind turbines, etc. Right now, China has a chokehold on that market. China, the last time I checked, they produced like 60% of the world supply of those minerals. If the United States controlled Greenland, we could mine those minerals ourselves, break that dependency, and boost our own tech industries, create jobs, innovation, provide security, all from rocks under the ice, ladies and gentlemen. And then there's fishing. I mean, for crying out loud, Greenland's waters teeming with cod, shrimp, halibut, you name it, it's up there. The fishing industry would be huge for the United States. Their fishing industry already is a big deal. But with the United States investment and our know-how, we could scale it up, export more, feed into our own markets. Plus, as the Arctic opens up, Greenland's ports could become hubs for new trade routes of ours. Think of it like a northern Panama Canal. That's a good way to look at it. But obviously colder and with better views. So there's gives and takes up there. But don't sleep and don't count on just fishing and tourism and things like that. Greenland's got glaciers, the northern lights. It's Instagram gold for people who want to go up there and vacation and explore. The United States can turn it into a destination location, build infrastructure, rake in billions of dollars from people who like to seek adventure up there and those kinds of landscapes. Sure, it'll take some upfront cash to get things rolling, but with the money that we're saving because of Doge, why not? Why not at least consider that investment? So the money could be there. And the payoff in the long term, absolutely massive. This all makes sense. It's all being discussed behind the scenes. That's point two. Now, point three, the environmental leadership that we could provide. Okay, now I'm going to flip the script a bit here and talk about something greener, literally, the environment. And I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute. Are we taking over the island and now you're going to talk about the green initiatives and so forth? I'm not talking about the Democratic liberal green initiatives. I'm talking that Greenland could be a chance for the United States to step up and be a global environmental leader in many ways. The ice sheet that I keep on mentioning up there, it's a big deal for climate science. We could host scientific meetings up there, understand the cycles of the earth that take place over thousands upon thousands of years. When you have ice sheets up there, it's like having a hard drive storing data on Earth's climate. And we could go back thousands of years just by coring ice and looking down into it, literally looking back in time and understanding that these cycles of heating and cooling happen naturally and happen frequently throughout the life of the planet. We might not see the cycles in our small life, in our short lifespan, but in the history of the planet, these things, as you know, happen all the time. It's not man-made. This is Earth. This is how it behaves. Researchers could drill those ice cores, figure out, if there is a pattern, if there's a systematic pattern, if there's a schedule, for lack of a better word, about these events when they begin to happen. We could fund bigger research stations up there, train more scientists, use the data to shape our global climate policy and a way to influence the rest of the world. I'll say it. Hey, we're not just here for the resources. We're here to figure this planet out. And that becomes a moderate approach for people who might not view us with friendly tones, at least at the beginning of the United States talking about taking Greenland as a territory. Plus, the United States could invest in substantial projects where solar, wind, hydropower, all those things, geothermal power. Greenland's got the space and the conditions and the energy at large scales that we can all use to figure and study and learn more about these things. Imagine a territory that's not just a research grab, but it's a showcase for the technology that we want to share with the world with regards to true environmental science. It would boost our credibility on the world stage, especially with folks who think that we're all about oil and gas. And let's be real. Climate change is a happening thing. Again, my stance is that it's not necessarily man-made. This is a secular event that happens in cycles throughout the history of Earth. If I've said it once, I say it a dozen times. The U.S. could bring serious resources in engineering, funding, adapting technologies, and so forth as Greenland becomes one of our partners. So those are the points as I see them with regards to Greenland. Key among them, of course, I think, is the military, just the overall strategic value that it provides us, that foothold in the northern Atlantic and the Arctic. China, Russia already beginning to make steps to make themselves and give themselves footholds up there in those areas. Why not do it? And it's really happening. This is really being talked about behind the scenes. It doesn't get a lot of attention in the national media, but since I think the elections in Greenland they just had an election where they voted in the center right party that agrees with this. At least initially, they're more welcoming and more open-minded about the United States and Greenland partnering and allowing Greenland to become a territory of the United States. So it's real, it's happening. And again, I'll end where I began. I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later, ladies and gentlemen. So Greenland, USA, it's a deal. It's going to happen. I think that I'm just going to say before the end of this year, there's going to be significant movement on this topic. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Okay, I'm going to be back later in the day and tomorrow with some other news of interest. A lot of current events, a lot of things. Doge, we have to talk about that. The left has no sense of themselves, and this topic, Greenland, doesn't do them any good either. They have no countermeasures for any of this. We're going to be talking a lot about it. It's always good to be with you. Please don't forget, though, to head over to DougBillings.us. DougBillings.us, my website, and please consider prayerfully making a small contribution, a monthly recurring donation over there at DougBillings.us. You can click on the donate tab. $5 a month, 10, 15 if you can afford it, 20 even better, but just something small on a recurring monthly basis, because I never charge for this program to be broadcast anywhere. You can watch it for free, but there are expenses, and I would be it just helps if you would consider, please, heading over to DougBillings.us, a very small donation on a monthly recurring basis to help me to continue to deliver the truth to you. Always a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. I love you. God bless you. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.